Well, hey there, it's Alka.
And Jen, and welcome to the fifth part of our 5-part series on the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur podcast, where we're talking about the 5 strategies. And today is Zazzle success strategy number 5, analyze to maximize your Zazzle sales.
So, thank you so much for watching or listening to all of the 5 episodes, because this is number 5. And re-watch them, re-listen to them over and over again. There's always something else that people learn when we talk about these 5 strategies. Really, they are our business plan that has allowed us to generate over $1.5 million in earnings from the Zazzle platform, which is awesome. Really nice way to go, isn't it? And a lot of our students are now also capitalizing on these 5 strategies. And obviously, in the podcast, we can cover what you need to do, but how to get that all done, you can always check out our Profit by Design Academy coaching program, where we dive deep and let you do the step-by-step work, and we help you by coaching and mentoring you to go along with that. Okay, so today, as Jen said, the 5th of a 5-part series, and today it's all about analysis. And what's really important is that you can't just do one of these strategies. You have to have all 5 in there, because they together encompass how you run a business. And we as creatives, when we first start on Zazzle, we forget that it's not just about us putting those designs up that are our paintings, photography, artwork, like surface patterns and digital designs and typography, and then all of a sudden the magic happens and sales start rolling in. We have to literally become an entrepreneur, an e-commerce entrepreneur in the online space. And so instead of being like in a 9 to 5 where someone tells you what to do and you just take off after the 5 o'clock turns 5, you're out of there. You're not really aware maybe of some of the things that are being done behind the scenes that allow that business to work that you are working for. And now that you're creating your own entrepreneurial online business, you've got to take advantage of all of these aspects that we shared in the last 5 sessions, including this one, so that you can build your business and do those tasks and keep that running, so that your strategies are all working for you and you can start to see Zazzle sales, or any other business, by the way. Like, these strategies are applicable because they're business strategies. They're applicable to anything that you do with Amazon and Amazon merch and KDB Publishing and Society 6, Redbubble, any other PODs, or even your Etsy shop or your Shopify store. We talk Zazzle, but the business principles are all the same. And this one is no exception. So what are the 3 points that we're going to talk about today?
Okay, so who would benefit from implementing strategy number 5, analyze? Why is strategy number 5, analyze, so important, and what are the benefits? And then what needs to be done to incorporate strategy number 5 into your Zazzle business?
Okay, who would benefit from implementing strategy number 5, which is analyze?
Creatives who are thinking of starting a Zazzle business and want to make sure that their actions are going to get them results. So a lot of Zazzle designers, when they first start out, they might think that they can just open up a store and start posting products for sale, and that things will just start
Spaghetti
happening.
against the wall trick.
And what we want to do is catch Zazzle designers right from the beginning, if you are starting out from the beginning and you're a complete beginner, and say analyzing your store and analyzing your data, looking at the numbers is extremely important, because of course you obviously need to have that creative aspect into your Zazzle business to make it work, but then you also have to have the business skills and the analysis too, because if you're doing actions or doing things in your Zazzle business that really aren't working for you, or you're working really, really hard and you're not seeing the results, there has to be something that has to change, because you can't keep doing the thing that you're doing expecting a different result, right?
One of the things that our coaching clients talk about a lot is like, well, I don't need to do this analysis thing until later when I have sales. And it's like, no, that's actually the worst time to start. You have to start even before you have sales, because there's so many other key performance indicators, or as some people say in the business world, KPIs, which is just the short form for that. Those are the targets and the metrics that you want to use to see if your business is running properly. And so we're going to get into that in a couple of minutes, but that's the key, is start collecting that information early, because even before you make sales, there's things that you should monitor and keep on track with to make sure that you actually are in the process of building a good, solid foundation for your business. All right, then the second people that are definitely in need of this analyze strategy number 5 are the Zazzle designers who are struggling and to make money on the Zazzle platform right now. And that might be you if you're listening to this, and it's okay. We all started at 0. We all struggled. We all did, we didn't just wake up successful. The key here is this strategy, is to figure out the negative numbers and the story behind the negative numbers. And so if you feel comfortable, because I know that like Jen initially, I remember you telling me one time, I don't want to look because I'm afraid, because I don't want to know that that I'm not making enough sales.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I know that resonates with a lot of people. You'd
Yeah,
rather
me too.
put it in the back room or in the closet and not look at it so that you don't have to worry about it, and it'll just stay there until something happens.
Don't think about it, it'll go away.
Yeah.
The problem is that the whole idea is to make sales. And so if you can't look to see if there are sales or not, how do you know you're successful?
Yeah, no, that's very true.
I know.
It's a very real fear that people have, though.
Of
that
course.
They'd rather not look at the numbers, and like, I'd rather not go to the doctor and find out that I'm sick, and I'd rather just be the way I am because I'm fine.
Yeah.
It's the same sort of weird, like, parallel, because as you said, you want to make money and you obviously need to look at the numbers to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
But people are very scared to look at the numbers because they don't want to admit that something might be wrong or that they need to change the way that they're working.
Or it's because they never did well in math in school, and it's like, well, this is just going to be so complicated. It's a business. How can I know what those numbers mean, and what should I do with them, and how am I going to figure them out? And you know what? We've got you covered. First of all, here we're going to talk about some very simple things that you can do that are going to make it easy for you to see those numbers, and you're going to feel so comfortable about it. And then the second thing is that you can't be afraid of the numbers, because the numbers tell a story, and they also allow you to be able to do something about it, right?
Well, I've also...
And which segues us into why strategy number 5 is really important, which is analyzing.
Well, as it allows you to feel like you're in control, because I was just about to say, when you start to actually get over your fear of looking at the numbers, then you realize that maybe the numbers doesn't technically mean that you're doing something wrong or that your designs aren't good. It's actually helping you become like a detective almost and figure out what's really happening in your Zazzle store, because maybe you have an amazing design, but it's not selling or people aren't seeing it because of some X, Y, and Z reason. And so when you actually look at your store and analyze either the numbers or your like your views or whatever you want to call them, just your business stats in the back end, it allows you to feel more in control of what your actions were and how you can move forward and take different action steps and actually improve them and actually end up working much smarter, and more smarter and less harder. I don't know if that's often like even proper grammar, but much more harder and less hard, more smart. And then so that means that you're actually probably going to actually work less. And I think that sounds really weird to some people because they're like, well, I have to work hard to make money. But actually you have to work smart to make money and understand really what's going on and how you can take the actions that you're doing right now and rearrange them or fix them or do something different to get different results.
And getting back to Jen's story, when you look at them, they actually may be positive results.
Yeah.
And then all this time you're worried, and really you should have been happy because you actually did well.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
Yeah.
You might actually not be looking at them because you're scared, and then you'll get this sort of sense of euphoria or whatever you want to call it when you look at the numbers and you realize that maybe there are some things that are actually working for you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you'll realize, hey, the work that I haven't been doing actually isn't as throwing spaghetti at the wall as much as you thought it might be.
It reaffirms the fact that you're doing well, even though you think you're not.
Yes.
Yeah, because you need to know, right? The numbers have to tell the story of the situation, but also the numbers have to help you, as Jen said, be that detective and figure out, A, what did I just do that made this so successful? Or B, oops, that's just not working for me. Let's just stop that right now and do something else.
Yeah.
Okay, so this leads us to point number 3, which is what needs to be done to incorporate strategy number 5, analyze into your Zazzle business. So the first thing is we have to find the numbers and look at them and figure out what they are. And so this is going to take some getting used to, because you're going to have to do this on a routine basis, right? You can't just sort of decide one day, because numbers are only as good as the perspective that they give you. So in this case, what I want you to do is take a couple of numbers and monitor them at a certain time period. So at least do this monthly, but some things you can also do weekly if you'd like. So, but we recommend to start out with, if you're not even in our Profit by Design Academy coaching program, where we do suggest certain things weekly, but for now, monthly is good for you, and just try that, okay? So first of all, we're going to look at our sales. So you need to know that sales number. The easiest way to do that is actually just to go and look at your total earnings. So you're in the back end of your account, you go to earnings, the little tab under the profile icon, and then it'll come up with this window where it says like total earnings, and then what's coming up, what's pending. And this is an easy number to just grab and add to a calendar, like your digital calendar, or write it down in a book or on a calendar itself. If you have a calendar, that's a physical calendar. And you're just going to take that number. And so then you can do the math later, because right now we don't need to do the math. We just need that number, space, and time. And that way you've got a total earnings that you've done on the Zazzle platform, period. And then if you take this number monthly, then when you subtract those two numbers, the one from the previous month and then the one from this month, for example, at the end of the month, let's say you do it I can either do it the first of the month or the last day of the month, whichever one you want, and just be consistent. And then you'll know what your earnings were for that particular month. Now, when Zazzle pays you out, it's different, right? You get paid 2 months later and all that stuff. So this way, you know, on average, with your numbers, when you're doing the subtraction, what it is that you're getting as a sale per that month. Otherwise, you have to be more complicated with how you figure that out, right? And so this is a really easy way to do it. So can you do this? Can you be that, like, that's simple, right? You don't need to do any math. You just have to do a subtraction if you want to know the difference between one month or the other month. In the meantime, you just keep seeing your numbers go up, and you'll slowly feel really comfortable just going like, oh, that means I made, $1,000 last month, or I made $10,000 last month. Yes, that's true. Some of our students are actually making that much every month, which is fun, right? Because you get to that point, you're like, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one number. Second number is the views. And this is more difficult because there's very few places where you can find the views, and they're always a matter of a space, like a slice in time, I like to call it. So if you're like looking at a product right now that you really would like to have a sale from, then you can go and at a certain time, and like, again, the same as with your sales, if you decide to do this at the beginning of the month or the very end of the month, go in and monitor maybe the top 10 products that you either are already seeing sales from, or your top 10 viewed products all time, and start making a list. Use a Google spreadsheet or some like Excel program, or like that's better than doing it by hand. So some sort of digital version where you can track these numbers and look at them over time. And you're going to do it product specifically. So you're going to look at maybe 5 or 10 of your top products that have views or sales, and then next month you'll do the same thing. And this is again something you can do just in the back end of your product page when you have the statistics showing, and you can see the number of views. The problem is that Zazzle just keeps adding to the number of views. It doesn't say, there's no search for that, so you can't say, well, give me the views from last January to this January. That's not possible. You physically have to do that. So the sooner you start taking these types of data down, the more history you're going to have. And then you'll start to see, oh, okay, so it took that many views over this period of time in order for me to make one sale or 10 sales or whatever. And because of that, you're going to have a much better handle on what it is that you need in terms of views for a particular niche and design and product, and also what you can expect as future sales, because if the views continue to go up, you can also start predicting income, which is really nice as well. Okay, so that's the second. So first is monthly sales. Second is monthly views of maybe your top 5 or 10 products. And then the next thing is the tough one. productivity. Actually, there's two. So these two are all up to you, right? So productivity, which means that you have to be effective in your work, right? So there's a couple of parameters you can collect there, but the first is number of products. We want you to make 100 products a month. That's what we teach our Profit by Design Academy coaching program clients, and we want you to do the same. Why? Because it gives you the opportunity to have products out there. You're active on the Zazzle marketplace. That means your Z rank stays high, and you are making more products that give you a higher chance of finally getting people to see them and to buy them. But not so many products that you're spamming and that you're just like making products that are just not very intentional or sellable. Okay, so if you don't have 100 products newly made at the end of the month, then obviously your productivity was low. And if you made more than 100, then your productivity was high. But at some point, 100 is enough. You don't have to be like the A++ student. You can just make 100 and call it a day. All right, next is the time that you put in. We recommend that our students use really regimented strategic plans and get their timing together so that they can be the most productive and effective within 20 hours a month. All right, you heard it right. That means 4 hours or 5 hours a week. And yes, it's possible. In fact, some of our top students don't have the extra time to just do all day Zazzling. Yeah. They do it as a side hustle, sometimes late at night or early before, like they wake up at 5 before they go to work and they do a couple hours. And so we have proof of the fact that it is possible to do it in 20 hours and to start generating the cash. The most important thing is that they don't question things. They just do, and they literally find the niches in the markets that are necessary to sell well on Zazzle. And so maybe as a photographer or as an artist, if that's all you want to showcase on the Zazzle platform, there are still things that we teach you in the Profit by Design Academy coaching program that showcase how you can do that. But otherwise, you might actually also start to consider doing some more things with your artwork, not just having it up as a canvas or a poster or on a couple of things as is. And that's why in the Profit by Design Academy coaching program, we go into all these different variations and combinations for people such as yourself with either photography or art as your background, and you want to sell that as to how to monetize that more effectively. All right. So, but in any case, no matter what, like it was a bit of a tangent there, but try and aim for 20 hours a month. Are you able to do that?
Yeah.
In fact, we want to let you know that once you get into maintenance mode and you've got your Zazzle business working the way you want it to, you can actually even decrease that number of hours.
Yeah.
Jennifer and I, once in a while, we do stick to our 4 hours a month, but most likely it's like
4 hours a week or 5 hours a week.
Oh, no, I'm saying that sometimes we're doing 4 hours a month.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes not even every month. Because we just have our business running so effectively now that it doesn't matter what, changes there are. COVID starts and it's like, no, it's all fine. And as long as we maintain our business and we stay active, but we don't have to work so hard to make, to put in 20 hours a month, even we can do 4 hours a month, then you are also, if you want to getting to, what am I trying to say? You could also get to that point if you set up your business properly.
Yeah.
Because it really is supposed to be a passive income business, right? It's not just supposed to replace your 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Okay. So I said those little side things because I really want you to understand that we're not just monitoring hours and then the minute you say, okay, this is how many hours I'm going to work. If they work 20 hours a month to get their business started and they made this much money and I want to make 5 times as much, then I should have 5 times as many hours. I have the time, I could do it. No, the answer is no. We stick to the 20 hours and the 20 hours a month, 100 products a month. It's a really good guideline, and just instead be more effective at what you do in those hours, okay? Yeah. And what you do with those products. All right, so those are all the parameters you have to watch. So your monthly sales, your monthly views for the top 5 products, the 100 hours, the 20 hours and the 100 products.
Yes.
Okay, so next, understanding what the numbers are. So we've touched on that a little bit because let's just start with the number of hours worked. In the number of hours worked, did you get the stuff done that you needed to do? And this depends on if you're in our program or not. But even if you're not in our program, you've set certain things aside and you've said, okay, if I have to make 100 products a month, I'll do, 25 a week. So then if you do 25 a week, then you're set to go and then you've done your job, right? And did you do it in the 4 or 5 hours a week? Maybe. But if you did it in 6 hours one week, then say, okay, what can I do to leverage my time that I spent as the extra hour one week and move, only work 4 weeks or 4 hours in the second week? So this, now you have understanding the numbers allows you to be in charge of the numbers, right? Okay. And then obviously with the sales goals, understanding what you're supposed to analyze. We like to help you analyze from 1 month to the next, and we also like you to compare from the month from this year and the month from last year. Why? Because if you're building your business, you might actually not have all the months covered yet as to a consistent earning income like we do. But if you have more income coming in from last year, then you're on the right track. You just haven't built it out yet completely, and having that equal stream of income every month. And so those numbers, now that you have them, you now have some guidance as to how to look at them. Do you have any more tips for the guidance part and understanding the numbers?
No, well, but now we're going to transition to what you need to do or what you need to know with the numbers.
Yeah, and this is more so, we already covered a little bit because we said, work less hours one week if you work too many the other, and obviously make your products. If you haven't, you make more products, blah, 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 right? So, but now what we're going to do is focus in on the actual views and sales of your Zazzle products, which is an indicator of how well you're doing in your business.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with, I think we've
touched on productivity and hours worked. So if you have no views on some of your products, but some of your designs you think are absolutely amazing, or even if they're just, if you put a design out there and you're seeing that you have no views and no sales at this point in time, then you definitely need to do some detective work, like we mentioned at the beginning, and see if maybe your titles and tags are correct, and if your product is being put in the marketplace properly, in the Zazzle marketplace, and then also being found, let's say, on Google or external search engines, because when you create a title and tag, these help with your SEO, and that's on the marketplace on Zazzle and also externally. And so if you don't have the proper titles and tags, or maybe you have titles and tags that people don't search for, and it might actually be very fitting for your product, especially if you're an artist or a photographer and you're creative in the sense of naming your artwork with passion and with meaning, it might just be that the average person who comes onto Zazzle won't be specifically searching for those key terms, right? So we like to always bring up the example like serenity or ethereal or something like that, or even using very specific colors and the shades or the hues and having the exact word for them.
Periwinkle purple or blue.
So we always like to say, for example, turquoise. Turquoise is a very common name or color, but some people don't know how to spell it properly. So we usually say use the word teal or blue, things like that, where you have to do a little bit of deep diving into the Zazzle marketplace, and that does come with time in terms of guessing and playing around with certain tags and doing some research. We can't give you the secret sauce of titles and tags because each design is different, right? Each design has its own titles and tags and something specific that needs to go along with it, especially with the research, whether it be a certain type of product, a certain type of design, or even the niche that you're in, right? So in this podcast, we can't give you the golden ticket to titles and tags, but we need to let you know that if you have no views on a design, it might be that your titles and tags need some work and that you need to do some research in there.
And it also could be that if you have absolutely no views, then Jen's right. If you have some views, like a couple, like 1 or 2 or 3, it's probably you clicking on your product.
Yeah.
Secondly, if it's 10 or so within 4 months or even a year, then it might not be something that people are searching for.
Yeah.
And so again, going to Jen's point, it could be that the words you're using are not specific words that others are using to find a design similar to yours, or you actually have designed in a niche that doesn't get that many views because there isn't the demand. And so once the demand is not there, then you have to just allow that lower number to be there. And then you, as a business owner, can make a decision as to whether or not you should be targeting other niches that have more turnover in terms of sales on the Zazzle marketplace.
Yeah. So, and then the next example is that maybe you have views, and maybe you have a lot of views or, you know, a minimal amount of views, but you have 0 sales. And you think that based on the amount of views that you have, you should be at least seeing some sales.
Yeah, and the number of views we're talking about are like 30 to 50 views. At that point, maybe there should be a sale, right? Then there's this other option where if you have like 1,000 or like your views are in the thousands of some sort, and it's like, whoa, I've got a lot of views, but what the heck? Why is my, I don't have a sale? It's probably because your product's been viewed on a landing page, or it's been in an email, or the homepage on Zazzle, and so just as in Pinterest or anywhere else where people are giving you impression data, that's what these views are doing on the Zazzle marketplace. They're giving you impression data, which means that they were somehow probably viewed if the person kind of paid attention to when they were on that page because your product was sitting there. And so those types of views in the thousands, unless you have sales to back it up, those are views where your product's just been in a nice place where it's been advertised, but then you have to start not looking at those thousands of views and go like, well, Elka and Jen said after 30, 50, I should make a sale. So I'm telling you right now that would not be the case. You may still make a sale or so, but then now the views are not, you can't use that data the same way, right? Because if you are just getting your organic views and so on, and you don't have that leverage of having your product been on some sort of landing page where you get thousands of views, then what is happening is you can actually create like a little algorithm for yourself, and you can say, okay, well, this design on this product, every 20 views is actually making a sale. Right? Whereas you can't do that. Obviously, when you have thousands of views but no sales, it means something different, and that you can't, and that maybe your product then is on the view or the showcased page for a couple months or even a week, and then all of a sudden it stops getting the views. And so you know that it's no longer being featured. And so then if you start to look at the stats there, you start to realize, okay, well, I always have to incorporate that extra 1,000 views that I got that were free, but they don't really mean that I should have some sales by now. I hope that wasn't too complicated.
Yeah, I guess so. But,
okay,
but
do you want to
more
reword
so
it?
just that talking about what the actual thing might be in terms of does your product serve the customer's needs and expectations. So if you do have a lot of views, and as Elka mentioned, like thousands of views, it means that you might have been on a landing page, and that those thousands of views might not technically mean that some customer was searching for it. It might have just been free views, as Elka mentioned. So you need to understand that going forward, if the views stop or gradually slow down, it means that it hasn't been on a landing page anymore, and that you're not getting that external traffic because Zazzle or some other affiliate marketing isn't pushing traffic to your product. But in general terms, like if you're just starting out or if you're a seasoned Zazzle designer and you're seeing that you have a regular amount of views, but you have 0 sales on a product, it means that there might be a couple things going on. So as I mentioned before, does the design serve the customer's needs and expectations in the design? A lot of Zazzle customers come to Zazzle and they search in the search bar a certain keyword, something that they're looking for, and then they get a whole bunch of results in thumbnail version, right? So they have to scroll through all of these thumbnails of all the different products and click on them to actually get to your product page. And so if the thumbnail version is a little bit deceiving, or that the colors might be off, or something's going on in terms of the design, that when the customer clicks on the thumbnail they're expecting one thing and then they actually get another thing, that might defer them from purchasing because they realized, oh well, the text on this product, which I thought was actually white, is now gray, or it might be a navy blue and it's actually a dark green or something like that, where the thumbnail is giving a deceiving look to what the actual product is, right?
Exactly. That's a really good point.
Yeah. And then the second thing that might be going on is that your templates aren't working properly. So Zazzle's platform is amazing because you're able to allow the customer to customize products to make it uniquely theirs, right? So you add text templates or photo templates to make the product available to anyone in the world and have it uniquely theirs with their own photo or their own text. But if you don't have either your templates set up at all, like let's say you put a photo up and it needs to be changed and you forget to put the template and say, put this or post this as a template, then when when the customer comes to your product and they don't know how to change the photo, because most people who come to Zazzle don't understand that they can go into the design further option and actually open up the design tool, then they're going to defer away from buying your product because they're not able to change their photo or their text easily. And or maybe your template with the photo has not been selected to the proper setting, which is fill, right? Or maybe your text bounding boxes are not properly according to the size of the product, or they're too big or too small. You have to test out your products before you post them for sale. And we always like to make sure that you add in like a long name, or that you make, you test out different versions, because even depending on the size of the fonts or even the letters. So let's say because the word, Amanda is all flat, right? You don't have an F or a G or a J in there. If you have a text bounding box that has something very close to another part of a graphic in your design, and then all of a sudden someone like myself named Jennifer comes in and I have an F that's overhanging on the bottom or up top, the text might not actually look as good as you thought it was because you used a word or a letter that are all flat on the bottom. Yep. And so there's a whole bunch of things in terms of especially templates that you have to, again, be careful of, because when a customer comes in and wants to easily design a product and like create it as their own, but they don't want to put too much work into it, if they're not able to do it easily, they'll shy away from it and they'll find something else, because Zazzle obviously offers so many amazing products and there's a lot of competition. It doesn't mean that you're not able to sell, because there's always room for more and there's a world of abundance. But if you're not making it easy for your customer to buy your product, they're going to shy away from it. And then also in terms of, is this niche worth pursuing? Like what Elka mentioned, is this niche too small? And are people who are the normal average Zazzle customer, are they going to be searching for your niche? Because maybe your niche is extremely small, but on Pinterest it's something completely different, because, there's a whole world of, let's say, knitters or book lovers or karate or martial art people who would be willing to buy your product, but they're just not the people who come normally to Zazzle throughout like organic traffic.
Yeah, which means that you can just use that Pinterest platform or any other platform to drive traffic to your store. But also in terms of one more thing with the design, as Jen mentioned, like if it's in a thumbnail and then they see something else when it's blown up, you can also have that you don't deliver specifically on what's needed on the design. So let's say it's for a birthday party, for example, and then you don't know what needs to be done for, let's say, a 50th or like a milestone birthday party. You don't know that you need to have the address of where the event is going to be, or that someone has to be able to RSVP and give them a phone number rather than it being a separate card like it is for weddings. So you have to know your niche. And then if you know your niche, you're also going to be able to, as Jen mentioned, know whether it's worth pursuing because of the competition and or the the volume of people that come through. And but then that volume, especially if it's a bigger competition, that volume is expecting things. And so that's what I want to get back to in terms of the design. They need certain things on the design that they expect, and also colors and actual text and the font styles, because they've seen it somewhere else and they're going, not your particular design, but they know what the trends are and they want certain things. And so that's our job as designers, to make sure that we have that there for them when they see our design, so they don't, as John said, move somewhere else to another product, because they're all
true.
side by side.
Because in the thumbnail version, you might have a really amazing, let's say you made a graphic or you purchased a graphic and the customer likes your graphic and they click on your design, and then as you mentioned, like the 50th birthday party invitation, if you don't have the right set of details that prompts the customer to fill in their own details and create that invitation and actually make it like a real invitation that works and functions in real life, then they're going to shy away from it. And then also one other point that I just thought of too is that in the mock-ups or the in situs, if you post your product for sale with a mock-up that actually doesn't show the customer really what the product is, they might click on it just to explore and see what it is, but then they might shy away from the product because they don't actually realize that it was really a pillowcase or like a duvet cover, but they thought it was a sheet of paper because a lot of the Zazzle, they're working on it, okay? So, but a lot of the Zazzle mock-ups are like, square rectangles just to show the design. And sometimes if your title is really long, the product name doesn't show up in the product or in the title. And so they might have to actually click on your product to see what it is. So if you do have the option to choose an in situ or a mock-up photo when you post it for sale, that's better than just like the square, normal picture, then definitely choose that so that it helps the customer understand what kind of product you're posting for sale as well.
Exactly. Yes, that could give you lots of false views, right? Because people are clicking on it thinking one thing. That happened to me this morning even. I was in the Zazzle Marketplace. I could have sworn it looked like a sticker.
But it was a business card. And it
wasn't a sticker. It was a business card.
Yeah.
A square business card. So, So there you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for listening and watching on YouTube. That wraps up strategy number 5, which is analyze. I also want you to go back to all the other episodes that we've done, including the 50th episode, which is our overarching episode that talked about the 5 strategies, and then the ones from 51 to 55 that talk about each strategy individually per podcast, and you'll just love them. You'll want to watch them or listen to them over and over again. And so keep bookmarking them and coming back to them, and definitely let us know about this, because what we've just done is given you our business plan that we teach in the Profit by Design Academy coaching program. Obviously, we show you step by step how to do all this and hold you accountable and give you guidance and give you lots of help along the way as you're building and growing your business, because it's a year-long coaching program, which is awesome. And but honestly, now you've got the tools and you know what to do to get to build your business and create that foundation for your business on the Zazzle platform.
So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in the Profit by Design Academy coaching program, and we will also see you in the next episode of the Creative and Ambitious Entrepreneur podcast.
Bye.
Bye.